Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the I Will Aim podcast. Our topic for today is leadership journey, and I have a special guest, Angie Chaplin. Let me give a brief introduction about Angie. Angie is an international respected leadership speaker, consultant, and educator with more than 30 years of work experience in human resources, strategic communication, and organizational development. With an entrepreneurial spirit and for nonprofit sector, Angie is the owner of Mindful Leadership LLC and co-founder of Brave Leadership, an emerging nonprofit serving the leadership development needs of health and human service organization, speaking openly about personal mental health journey and the need for leader to strengthen the mind and body. Angie is also a credentialed mindfulness teacher and behavioral health advocate. Based in Iowa City, Angie's interests include cheering for the Iowa Hawkeye football team and enjoying adventure with her two successfully adulting son. Welcome, Angie.
Thank you, Will. What a pleasure to be with you. This is truly an honor.
My first question for you is, as a leader, how do you start your day?
My day starts early. I wake up between 5 and 5:30 a.m. and sometimes before the sun has woken up. And the first order of business, so to speak, is my dog. So needing to go outside. So I'm able to really combine as I walk him, it's very much a mindful experience for me. It's early in the morning. There's not a lot of traffic around us. There's not a lot of distractions already kicking into the day. And so for me, it's really part of a guided meditative experience where it's a walking meditation of sorts and just allowing myself to be fully present in the opportunity to start my day before all of the things come tumbling down and emails and projects and tasks to be accomplished. So then it's coming home, getting, kind of regrouped and reflecting on what I have to do for the day ahead. But it starts with a grounding opportunity outside.
I love the grounding aspect of starting your day, being mindful, right? I love the way you start your day. Can you share a little bit about your career journey? How did you become the leader that you are, and now helping and impacting many leaders around the world?
My leadership journey, like many others, have taken multiple twists and turns, and there have been detours and roadblocks and an intersection of life and leadership. Primarily began at in the early 2000s. So, many years ago at this point, when I was working for a statewide nonprofit organization here in Iowa and was given the opportunity to create an internal leadership development program. This was happening alongside my graduate school studies at Seton Hall University in strategic communications and leadership. And during that graduate school program, I was introduced to the Leadership Challenge, which is an internationally respected book by Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner, based on now 35 plus years of research. And it really landed with me because it connected the facts of leadership, the hard skills that we look at when we're examining quality leadership behaviors, but it also brought in the feelings around leadership. And that was something I had never been exposed to. I thought leaders had to be very strong and very straight-faced and couldn't really admit to any of their own flaws or any of their own challenges. So to understand leadership as a heart and a head, and it's through the habits that we incorporate, was really eye-opening for me. And I literally took it to heart and then continued my work, not only in developing an internal leadership development program within a human services organization, but continuing my own studies and became a certified master for the Leadership Challenge, working alongside
Wow.
Jim and Barry as the authors and a strong, widespread community of other certified masters and practitioners of the Leadership Challenge. Somewhere along the way, I lost my way, literally, and having an inability at that time to deal with personal conflict in a healthy way, mental health challenges really became more impactful than I had seen at that time, and didn't have healthy ways to deal with it. And so for about 10 years, I struggled with alcohol use disorder to the point of requiring hospitalization and treatment multiple times. It was in 2020 that I was able to once again find my way through leadership and the leadership challenge and leadership practices, and the mind body connection has kept me sober for 4 years. So there's been definitely a professional journey alongside and often intertwined with a personal leadership journey.
I really admire that you're willing to share your journey, even the hard ones, right? Because
Right.
often leaders are looked at as someone who is perfect, almost near perfect. They had it all together, but in your journey, you were able to share with people that it's not a straight line. You're gonna have ups and downs. You're gonna have challenges along the way, and you need to take care of. Now, I really love what you said, and this goes back to the sponsor, the mind and the heart, right? It's
Right.
important.
Right.
In many contexts, that's not brought up in a leadership
Right.
discussion. Mind and
Mm-hmm.
heart, especially the heart and the emotion, they don't bring that up. But those are immensely important because I always look at leadership as relationship, right? And I
Yes.
remember the first
Right.
thing that relationship foundation of your leadership.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the first thing I
Yes.
remember when I went to the master program, the first
Uh-huh.
residency, and it's still like resonates well with me. And thank you for sharing that journey. Really, really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that, because that's super powerful for people to hear that we all have our own challenges that we face, but ultimately it's how you go about embracing that journey and moving along. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, you're welcome.
Are there any pivotal moments that in your journey that help you develop and grow your leadership capability?
There's been many times that as I look back, they seemed small or insignificant at that time, but now I see as being pivotal moments or milestones in my own journey. The first was really being invited back to math school at Seton Hall as a faculty member. So, absolutely, go Pirates.
Yeah, go Pirates.
Absolutely, go Pirates. There were individuals who saw qualities in me that I failed to identify with, or perhaps were scared to lean into. One of those was being a collegiate faculty member. So it was my first opportunity in teaching at the collegiate level, which then led into many academic assignments since then. But having the support of faculty who had taught me, and now being able to learn beside them as a colleague, was definitely pivotal in not only the experiences that it would lead to, but also in how I saw myself and my willingness to accept that I'm here for a purpose, and my purpose is to help others identify their leadership strengths and to lean into unlocking whatever leadership looks like within them. And that was definitely something that set my trajectory forward.
I think what's really interesting in that the message that you share was around you went through the journey yourself, and then other people see you in a different light that you
Mm-hmm.
don't see yourself, and then you taking that leap of faith to actually join that faculty program, And not
Right.
only did you make the difference, you actually make an impact. A lot of people remember. I remember you. I remember you as one of the faculty when as I go to the program. It's really immensely powerful for people to relate you now as leaders developer, rather
Hmm.
than just a leader or one of the leader that went to the program. So
Right.
thank you for developing many leaders, in the mass school program and beyond. I think now with the two charity that you have, you could talk about them
Mm.
later. I think you're developing and making impact immensely, in many areas. I have a question for you. What do you think is much needed now regarding developing leader at this time?
You mentioned one of the significant learning examples from Maskell and our shared experiences academically, that leadership is a relationship, which is absolutely 100% true. What I believe, really, as a prequel to that, is leadership is a relationship with ourselves. And in order to strengthen our relationships with other people, whether that's our family or our workplace or our communities, we first have to strengthen the relationship we have within ourselves, and understanding who am I at my core, whether that's knowing my values, knowing what my values look like behaviorally. How does that fit into my big picture? I think being able to take a step back and take a step in are two critical components that more leaders need to embrace. Too often, especially in our tumultuous and polarizing environment, we seek to be heard rather than seek to understand. Part of that has to be a willingness to hear ourselves and really hear what is in our hearts, to be able to understand what is important to me, what do I value, and how can I strengthen my own relationships before I can build those bridges with others.
I like that you talk about you as a leader knowing who you are first, because
Right.
that's also context that's foreign to me, because I always think
Oh,
about serving people, right?
yes,
Leadership is service. Leadership is
yes,
serving
yes,
others. Leadership is
yes.
relationship. So it's really a lot of external relationship, not you. But you brought up a very good point about, hey, before you can lead other people, you need to first know who you are. You need to
Right.
first understand the value. So thank you for sharing that, because to me, even now, I've been learning for many years, and now I'm like, wow, I thought it's about me connecting with the world, but now it's
Yeah.
really me understanding myself and what my value proposition, and I hope how I go about leading or influence or connecting with other people. I think one of the concepts that I always point to leadership is authenticity. How
Yes.
important is being authentic to being a leader?
My goodness, I think it is essential to being an effective leader. And to your earlier point about the external qualities of leadership, that's definitely true. It's a both and. I can be a strong leader with myself and be a strong leader with other people. It's too often I see people sacrificing their own self-care and their own needs in order to apply that external qualities of relationships. So taking care of others before taking care of themselves. And it's not either or. You don't take care of other people or take care of yourself. It's both. When I take care of myself, when I lead myself first, I am better equipped to lead other people. And I think that's really one of the opportunities, is to understand authentically, if I show up differently to other people than I'm willing to show up to myself, if I look in the mirror and I put on a mask, or I choose how I'm going to appear in my next conversation or my next interaction, that's limiting our authenticity. But many times we have to peel off that mask and look in the mirror and be able to truly understand, who am I? Not just what do I do, not just what my roles are. Who am I from the inside out? And that creates and enhances our authenticity.
It's interesting that you said that you want to know first who am I, right? Like going back to knowing from within
Hmm.
what you're capable of. And the other aspect of it that I now equate it to like an airline. They always
Hmm.
said put the mask on, but
Yes.
if you're an adult, put your mask on before you help
Right.
your children, right?
Exactly.
And I always said that to a couple of my direct reporters, that you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're a
Yes.
leader and you're exhausted and you didn't take care of your health and well-being, because I did that in my
Hmm.
career at some point, that I didn't
Right.
really take care of myself, then when I need to help others, I'm feeling ill-equipped to be ready, but I'm still pushing myself to do it. But going
Yes.
back to your point is, if you push yourself really hard without being there to self-care yourself and understanding that you need self-care too,
Yep.
then you're really not going to be effective. It's like
Absolutely.
being half effective for your team. You need to be almost fully effective with your team. So I think that's a very important point for people to learn. For people that are learning to be or aspiring to be leader, what are the advice that you have for them, or what are the steps that they need to take
Mm.
in order to be better leader now that you've been teaching for a couple of years, right, and develop many leaders? What have you learned are the most effective ways of building a leader up?
I really believe it starts with knowing ourselves. And that for me happens through values, whether it's acknowledging the things that are most important in our lives or it's a facilitated conversation. That's where it begins. Any relationship that we aspire to have with ourselves and with other people, there are certain expectations, and those expectations are grounded in our values, whether they are explicit or implicit. There's a connection there. And once we're able to identify and lean into that connection, we strengthen that internal relationship, which of course strengthens the relationships we have with others. So getting up close and personal with values identification and values alignment for me is where it's begun more than once. And it was bringing myself back to my values in 2020 that allowed me to really succeed in overcoming mental health and behavioral health challenges.
So how do we best do that, especially in this day and age where people seek to be heard, right, more than to be
Yes.
understood?
Yes, absolutely. There are multiple lists on Google or Brene Brown has a
Oh, Renee Brown.
process. Yep, James Clear has a process on their websites. It's an activity that I've created through using a deck of cards that has different values, words on it, and it can be a facilitated conversation that I have done with groups or teams or one-on-one to really help an individual process through multiple demands for their time and their intention what truly aligns with their values. There's opportunities to do it yourself. Again, like I said, I know that there are free sites available for people who just want to get started and are ready to do that type of in-depth reflection with themselves. For those who might want some additional assistance and guidance through the process, that's something that I feel strongly is important to do.
Thank you for sharing that point. I think in the age of do it yourself, and a lot of people want to do a DIY, would you suggest doing leadership DIY way or no? I just want your
Yes,
opinion.
there's it's a yes, and it's yes, it starts with a self-reflection, and most of us need a partner along the way, whether that's signing up with a coach or a mentor or a course where you have a faculty member. We all have a need to hold ourselves accountable. However, most of us benefit from having a buddy to check in with. And that was something that I experienced being independent. I strongly advocate for self-empowered growth and development, yet I know that there are areas where I need a mentor or I need an accountability partner, or I need somebody else who has gone through it to really walk beside me. So it's again not do I do it myself or do I do it with others? It's both. You might start with yourself, identify the areas where you can need or benefit from additional involvement and assistance, and then decide strategically, who do I want to work with to help me through this journey?
So you mentioned starting both with yourself and then asking other people for help. You did mention accountability partner. Can you
Mm-hmm.
expand more about it?
An accountability partner can be somebody as formal as a coach or a mentor or a sponsor of sorts, someone who will help us hold ourselves accountable, not in a blameful way, not in a you didn't do this, what's up with that type of way, but in a supportive environment by helping one identify what are the obstacles in the way. Why am I perhaps impeding my own progress? And so having an accountability partner, for some it's their spouse or a close friend, somebody in their life who can hold them accountable. Others benefit from somebody kind of removed from any of their personal relationships. And that's where having a more structured or formal accountability partner can be helpful.
I love that you said the accountability partner is the
Right.
support, and also helping you move along in the right direction. Thank you for clarifying accountability partner. I think it's quite important because that now that people could focus on developing themselves, now they want to move on to the next stage, looking for a mentor, coach, or accountability partner. They have better
Mm-hmm.
definition of.
Right, right.
Can you share the current project that you work on and maybe how people could reach you? I'm sure the people that will be listening to this podcast are truly interested with the topics that you talk about, that they might want to reach out to you for coaching, for
Sure.
working with you. How do they reach out to you, and what work are you working on right now?
I have two organizational affiliations. My first is a LLC or a business that I founded in 2020 called Mindful Leadership. That, of course, was during that post-COVID time period when organizations weren't hiring. There wasn't a lot of opportunities to join another company. So I started doing my own leadership development work as a for-profit. I was not feeling fulfilled as a traditional entrepreneur because I have a strong background in nonprofits and in higher education. Last fall, I decided to pursue social entrepreneurship, which is entrepreneurship within a nonprofit model. So I'm the co-founder of Brave Leadership, which is an emerging 501c3 nonprofit organization. And we focus on unlocking the leadership potential of health and human service organizations. So we are a nonprofit serving the leadership development needs of other nonprofits. You know, my experience has been, and my firm Advocacy is around building up our unsung heroes who work in healthcare and human services and help them help themselves to identify as a leader so that if they feel empowered, they are better able to empower the people they are serving. So it's an opportunity to generate ripples of positive outcomes and positive change for our communities. There's a couple of ways people can find me. My primary website is angiechaplin.com. The nonprofit organization can be found at braveleadership.org. Both of those have contact information. I'm active on LinkedIn professionally as well as personally. I do speak very openly about my journeys, my personal struggles, and how I was able to leverage leadership to be able to achieve success in overcoming some of those situations.
Thank you for sharing, Angie. I will add your link into the post for the YouTube post. Before we end, we talk a lot of topic about developing leadership and how you develop leaders. If there's 3 or 4 takeaways for this particular episode, what would those be? And what do you want our audience to remember?
I really want individuals to acknowledge the importance of their values. If they're in a family, if they're in a workplace, it becomes very easy to align with the big picture, the organizational or the family values. However, the most important step is to know where we land in understanding our own values so that we can align it accordingly. Once we know our values, authenticity is created when we align our behaviors, our actions with the values that we have professed. So it's professing our values and practicing behaviors that are in alignment, but we can't do that until we first know what those values truly are. So that would be 1/2, knowing your values,
No.
aligning your behaviors. And then the third takeaway or reminder I would offer is really to develop that mind-body connection and acknowledging that effective leadership requires us to be at our best in our head and our heart and our habits so that we're building ourselves at the same time that we're committed to building others.
Thank you for sharing those three takeaways. Really, thank you for your time, Angie, today. For our listener, if you like this episode, subscribe, like, comments, and really thank Angie today for your time. Really appreciate you being our guest today. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thanks, Will.